Hi, it's Jane with Scraptastic Yarns, and I thought today, I'm going to go over some things about Tarnation Tuesday that we're doing tomorrow, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But first off, for those of you that are following along with Nana's crochet ideas, Terry is doing a Bible New Testament crochet along. And she's chosen the peppermint pinwheel afghan. So I am doing that, and I've decided that I'm going to use all of my variegated yarns to make the pinwheels. I think that the little blocks that go in between the smaller blocks, I'm just going to do the black with white to join them all together. But I've got 2 weeks done, so it's rather interesting. And this is interlocking crochet, this pattern. So it's really not that difficult. There are 2 different motifs that you do. I chose to go ahead and do the same motifs just to get the one motif out of the way so that once it's finished, I can move on to the next one. I think there are 6 that you do like this. So I thought I would use this one block. And, gosh, hang on. Sorry about that. I am using the Mainstays, yarn Mainstays. Yeah, it is Mainstays, isn't it? Walmart's brand in black acrylic. And then some of the one skein that I have was one of these small 3-ounce skeins of the Star Bright print by Red Heart. It was classic. I had it in my stash, and I thought, you know what? I am going to use that up as much as possible. So I am using that until I need to pull out another different variegated yarn. Continuing to work on my sugar blush shawl. I worked a little bit on it while Connie and I were talking yesterday on her live. And the live that we did was the on the Connie's weigh-in. I told you a little bit about my weight loss, my weight loss history, not all of it completely, but the main gist of it, how I decided I needed to lose weight and some other things that were going on, and some of the health issues that I have currently going on. And right now, the heart issue has resolved itself, but that came with a lot of changes in diet and the way that I'm doing things. But the whole idea for Connie and I both with this, as we meet once a month, is to encourage those of you that are on this journey. And it doesn't necessarily have to be weight loss. It may be you've just chosen to eat healthier, do things a little healthier for you. Come join. You're going to get motivation. You're going to get tips. We hope that we are giving you encouragement with this series. So, all right, and I've been continuing to work on my painted honeycomb blanket. I do work a little bit on that. I am telling you right now that I have both cats down at my feet, and they are eyeing this yarn. So if I scream out, it's because one of them has grabbed the yarn and or my leg in the process. Yeah, I generally have to put that yarn up high so that, you know, when I'm working with it, they can't see it moving a lot. Now, I'm going to discuss the Tarnation a little bit. This is the Tarnation that we did, Tarnation Tuesday. Just that first basic, starting with the Tarnation Simple Crochet, Tarnation Simple Stitch, and as you can see, it curls up. So tomorrow I'm going to talk a little bit about why it curls up as well as give you a couple of tips, tricks to stop that curling. The biggest thing with it is your tension. Your tension needs to be as loose as possible anyway. And like I said, this is acrylic. I am going to block it afterwards. But then afterwards, at the very end, I will be doing a different border around the edge of it that will help pull that curl out. And I'll talk a little bit about that. Now, as far as the Tarnation crochet went, I had told you guys in it that you could get 90 stitches on a 14-inch hook, Afghan hook, Tarnation crochet hook, whatever you choose to call it. And I had someone who said, really? Really? Okay. I want you to see. There are 100 stitches on this hook. I could easily get close to 200 if I really wanted to, was pushing it. On this hook itself, I have done 150 stitches easily to do an Afghan that I had created as part of the pagan newsletter that I helped with. I had designed an Afghan. It was a goddess Afghan. And so I had designed this thing and then had knit it in Tarnation crochet, showed the changes, how to color change in the middle when you're using bobbins, because I didn't do a cross stitch on it for the goddess. It was, I did the Tarnation and then used bobbins to change it up. You can get over 100 stitches on these hooks. Like I said, this one has 100 stitches on it right now. I had chosen the Soft and Sleek Baby, which is low pill fiber in the grasshopper color, to do a second Tarnation Afghan. And I had showed you how to count the rows. This one actually, because I did go ahead and pick up another set, has 11 instead of doing 10. You can do as many as you want. I think I had someone tell me either in a comment on one of the videos, sorry about that, on one of the videos that they had 93 stitches, so they got off. That's where I say the counting comes into play. Now, here's the thing. If you followed the way that I originally showed you was to chain 1, then yarn over, go through 1, yarn over, go through 2. I do that because of the way when I'm coming back and I crochet a border around, I have that extra stitch in there so that it helps that corner so it doesn't collapse in. That's the only reason I have that extra one in there. Normally your return pass would be a chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, pull, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way through the end. The reason I told you at the very end that it doesn't matter if you're doing the way I told you or the way that most people do that normal return pass, as long as you're consistent. The reason you need to be consistent with that is because if you've got that extra little chain 1 in there, if you want to call it a chain 1, then if the next couple of rows you don't do that, it collapses in on itself or gives a little wave on that one end. That is the only reason I tell you to be consistent. The typical way for the return pass is chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way back. But I always have that is the way that I was originally taught, and I was taught that by a neighbor. And the reason she taught me that was because when she did a crochet border around her Afghans, sometimes they had a little bit of collapse on that one corner, or it was hard to find the stitch because when you bind off, it tightens it down a little bit. So that is why I have done that on those. So I did want to kind of give you a warning about that. But I did want to explain to you that yes, you can get many, many stitches on that 14-inch needle. So those needles are great for many reasons, but the interchangeable are just as good. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're working on it. And as you're going, just choose which way you want to do your return pass. And remember, you're going to have an extra stitch there. Don't pick up that extra stitch at the end. That may be why some of you have an extra stitch at the end, or it may be some other reason. Just make sure you count each row as you go until you get it. I no longer count when I'm doing it, just because I've gotten used to it. So I'm just going to tell you that. Let me get a sip here. My throat's kind of goofy today. I have tea today. I have a peppermint cocoa tea that I picked up from Wegmans. It's Wegmans brand. It's really good. Really good. It's not over pepperminty. I'm not a big fan of peppermint. I choose wintergreen normally, but this is pretty good. Doesn't bother me all that much at all. And of course I have it in one of these little cups I got a couple of years ago. Only problem with this cup is the lid collapsed. Basically, it collapsed. It's a poorly made lid. I do have other lids I can put in there, just haven't. I think that's it for that portion of it. Yeah, that's it. Now we're ready to move on to wadding tarnation. But first of all, I want to discuss a little bit of the wadding tarnation I've been hearing in the news. These are not included in the stories. I just thought I would include it. I had noticed on Twitter there was this thing that was trending about Sweden preparing for war, that their leader had talked about that the Swedes need to, be concerned about things that are going on, and Zelensky had warned about the whole thing. Putin wouldn't just stop at Ukraine, he'll move into other countries, which Putin is crazy enough he would, but I just thought that was rather interesting. Now, on top of that, I have a friend who is in Syria who's watching the news. And he had called me when he was talking. He said, North Korea is going to start a war with the U.S., going to go to war with the U.S. And I said, where did you hear that? He said, well, I saw it on the news. The North Korean leader was talking about this, and all that kind of stuff. I said, but he says that every 6 months, every time he does some kind of thing. He wants to go to war against us, or, whatever. He tries to shoot off his missiles, his ballistic missiles, and they either hit or miss, or they're duds. I'm not even sure his missiles could get to South Korea. So we had a good laugh about that. But I thought that was rather interesting that he had heard that and he was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? So yeah. Before we get into the wadding tarnation, let's talk a little bit about Operation Christmas Child item. Now this is a crochet pattern that came from I can't read the name. From a lady called Raffaella Nickel at bloominbunt.de. And it is basically a pattern, it's a picture, for a crochet teddy bear. Hope you can see that. And it takes you from step 1, 2, 3, all the way up to the finishing. And then you sew it and stuff it. Or you can slip stitch, single crochet around it, whatnot, and decorate it. I will try to remember to leave the link down below under the description, which under the description, you have to press more to see what it is, to find the link, whether you're on your phone, your computer, iPad, whatever. I don't know that iPads will take you to the link. I can't remember. But it's a nice little pattern. It's one that I use a lot. So it's something to consider for the Operation Christmas Child. Another thing is, I don't know if I told you, some things you can do. Small bottles, prescription bottles. Keep your old prescription bottles. Take the labels off, clean them up real good, wash them. And you can make little fishing kits, sewing kits, beaded kits, you name it, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. And I think some of you live in an area where your buck and a quarter stores, Dollar Trees, actually have some of those little crochet kits, knitting kits, and sewing kits that are buck and a quarter. I haven't seen them in mine at all. That doesn't mean they won't show up in a week or two. Although I would imagine I probably have to go to the big Dollar Tree, buck and a quarter store, which is in Altoona, and that's about an hour and a half away. I'm just not ready to go that far yet. So, all right, let's get into what in Tarnation. These are all animal stories. Texas Zoo welcomes first lion birth since 2015. The Fort Worth Zoo in Texas offered the first look at the first baby lion to be born there since 2015. The zoo said Moja, born in October to parents Saba and Abagabi, weighed 2 pounds 7 ounces when he was 4 days old, and he's since grown to 16 pounds. Moja, is still being kept in an off-exhibit area with his mother, and officials have not decided when he will go on public display. This little guy is learning what play means and can usually be found pouncing and playing with mom. Jubilani, Saba, and another female lion, Abagabi, were brought to the zoo in 2012 to bring more variation to the bride's gene pool. And African lions are listed as threatened on the International Union for Conservation of Nature's Red List. And there's a little bit of a Facebook video for you to see, little Moja. Now this would scare me to death. Mother finds venomous snake in 3-year-old's underwear drawer. A reptile wrangler was called to an Australian home where mother found one of the world's most venomous snakes in her son's underwear drawer. Melbourne snake catcher Mark Pelly, a.k.a. the Snake Hunter, said he was called to a home where a woman found the 5-foot eastern brown snake in her 3-year-old son's underwear drawer. Pelly shared video showing the moment he opened the drawer in the boy's bedroom and confirmed the presence of the eastern brown snake, considered to be the second most venomous species of snake in the world. That's not something you see every day, he says in the video. The reptile wrangler said the serpent apparently hid inside some clothes the mother had brought in from the clothesline the previous day and ended up being placed in the drawer with the clothing. Can you imagine if she had been bit, bringing that in? Or even folding the clothes, putting them away? Wow. Pet goat rescued from roof of Arizona home. An Arizona fire department said it was a rooftop rodeo when firefighters were called to rescue a pet goat that found its way onto the roof of a home and became stranded. The Glendale Fire Department said in a Facebook post that the firefighters were called to lend a helping hoof when an adventurous goat ended up a little too high on a home. Photos from the rooftop rodeo show firefighters climbing up on the roof to bring the goat back down to earth. The goat was reunited with its owner. You know, but I really wish there'd have been video. Just saying. At our local waste area management place, for a long time they had billy goats they had that someone had lent them to help break down, chew things up, that kind of thing. And they interbreeded. And interbred goats can sometimes be scary, but they can be really stupid. But we had one of those goats that got on the overpass, on the outside of the overpass, so they had to come rescue it. But there was video, that was quite a few years ago. But it's hilarious to watch video of goats try to escape someone who's rescuing them. Emu escapes from Alabama home for the third time. An emu named Esmeralda, that's a beautiful name, escaped from her Alabama home for the third time and was spotted running loose around town before returning home on her own. The city of Calera said in a Facebook post that Esmeralda reportedly had a domestic dispute involving her sister, resulting in Esmeralda making a swift exit from her owner's Jemison home. Sue Sanford, owner of the emu, and her sister Ursula, said Esmeralda is the friendlier bird of the pair, but also the more adventurous one. Esmeralda previously escaped a few years ago and became a local celebrity when she escaped for the second time in December. I get a lot of comments because she is now very well known from December. So, of course, right away people say, not again. Esmeralda's latest escape proved short-lived as she returned home on her own later in the day. We are happy to report that Esmeralda has returned home to hopefully reconcile her differences with her sister. The city said in an update to its Facebook post, upon reflecting on her actions while she was on the run, she decided that she should remain with her sister in the flock together. Sanford said she and her animals are moving to a more spacious property in Plantersville soon, and Esmeralda will be kept secure until she is transported to her new home. I'm very happy she's not getting out of there again until we move, Sanford said. Au contraire, Esmeralda may have other plans. New York Zoo's second giraffe calf is a girl named Pippi. A New York Zoo announced its second giraffe calf, born in a week, is a girl with the same father but a different mother from the first calf. The Seneca Park Zoo said the second calf, born December 13th, is a female who was dubbed Pippi due to her unruly ossicones that resemble the pigtails sported by the fictional character Pippi Longstocking. Pippi was born to Mother Iggy 1 week after another giraffe, Capenzi, gave birth to a male calf dubbed Parker Jr., aka PJ. Both calves were fathered by Parker, a giraffe who died in February of 2023. The zoo said the mothers and their calves are doing well in a behind-the-scenes area. Giraffes are amazing, and there's video of the two in their little encampment. Now, I can't imagine the feelings you would have her losing this cat and then finding out this cat was so close. Cat missing for 7 years, found at factory, 300 yards from home. A British woman was reunited with her lost cat after 7 years when the feline was found to be living at a factory just 300 yards from her home. Stephanie Barstow of Corby, Northamptonshire, said her Bengal cat Duke failed to return home after a fight with his feline sibling Nero in January of 2017, and she eventually gave up after months of searching. What is it with cats fighting with their siblings? Or animals fighting with their siblings? Barstow said she was shocked when the knock at her door turned out to be a veterinarian, telling her that Duke had been found. She asked me if I was the owner of a cat called Duke. I couldn't believe it, Barstow told Wales Online. She told me that he had been found just 300 yards away from my home, at a factory. I was absolutely shocked. I could just completely broke down. Duke turned out to have been living at the factory, where workers provided him with food and shelter from the cold. They ended up taking the cat to the veterinarian when they determined the factory was no longer safe for Duke. The veterinarian found that Duke had a microchip, but Barstow's phone number was out of date. The veterinarian drove to Barstow's listed address and told her the good news in person. Barstow said she was overjoyed to reunite with Duke, but changes to her household, including a dog and a new baby, made her decide to rehome him. She said she found Duke a home with a perfect family. All right, that is it for today's little episode. Animals, what are you going to do with them? Today's devotional, again, still comes from Promises from God's Heart. And today we are at Promises from God's Heart for Courage. And there are 6 passages in this reading today. Immediately Jesus spoke to them, "Have courage, it is I, don't be afraid." Matthew 14:27. I repeat, be strong and brave. Don't be afraid and don't panic, for I, the Lord your God, am with you in all you do. That is Joshua 1:9. That is also one of my favorite ones, and that is the one that also states with be courageous and strong. But Christ, God's faithful Son, is in complete charge of God's house, and we Christians are God's house. He lives in us. If we keep up our courage firm to the end, and our joy and our trust in the Lord. Hebrews 3:6. I have told you things so that in me you may have peace. You will have suffering in this world. Be courageous. I have conquered the world. John 16:33. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Psalm 27:14. For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. That comes from Isaiah 41:13. All right, and that is it for this reading today. As always, be a little kinder to yourself this year. Be kind to others, love one another, get in touch with God, or whatever your spiritual belief is. And I will see you again soon. Bye.